welcome back. So the third part of our 5-part series is CPR. What does CPR stand for? I know a lot of people think, yeah, it helps save lives, but it's cardiopulmonary resuscitation. Cardio being your heart, pulmonary your lungs, resuscitation is what we're trying to do. And again, CPR would be something we're going to start on for somebody we find not breathing, showing no signs of life, okay? Let's say we've been through these first 3 steps. The scene is safe. We've checked level of consciousness with the tap, shake, shout. We've called 911 and reported we have somebody unresponsive, not breathing. We're going to start CPR. Obviously, we're going to give a location. So we're going to start CPR with chest compressions. I know a lot of you guys out there have had CPR. We're going to do 30 chest compressions at a rate of 120 compressions per minute. That's 2 compressions per second. Is this 2 compressions per second? 1, 2, 3, 4. Way too slow, right? Okay? We're going to definitely have to be moving faster. So let's do a little review of the anatomy, first of all. On this mannequin here, right here where my finger's pointing, that's the belly button. Oh yeah. He's a little ticklish. Here's the rib cage and the xiphoid process. This is a piece of cartilage. And if we put the heel of one hand over that cartilage and do compressions too low on the body, that can break off, and every time we do a compression, it can stab an internal organ, okay? It's shaped similar to this, like the head of an arrow. We got the nipples here. Very important to understand. We're going to place the heel of the hand in the center of the chest between the nipples. That's right on the written examination, okay? That's where we need to put the heel of one hand. Now, it doesn't matter. I'm right-handed, but for whatever reason, I like the heel of my left hand down first. You want your right down? That's fine. I do like the lock fingers and then curl up like this. If this is something you'd rather do in terms of your compressions, that's fine. But I just want you to show you the heel of the hand, one hand. I want my shoulders in line with the center of the victim, okay? In other words, I don't want to be over here trying to do compressions. And I need to be up close, and I'd be kneeling next to him, okay? For the purposes of demonstrations, we're on a table, but we would be down on the floor, the ground, doing compressions. We need a hard surface. In fact, lots of times when we have been to people's homes to do CPR, loved ones are doing CPR in the bed. The first thing we need to do is stop that, get them onto a hard surface. I know that I mentioned that most times we find, 99% of the times we find people unresponsive and breathing. However, 99% of the times when somebody does need CPR, it's typically in the home. So unfortunately, you may have to do CPR on somebody you know and care about well before you will ever do CPR on a stranger, okay? So the heel of one hand in the center of the chest between the nipples. I'm going to compress at a rate of 120 compressions a minute for a total of 30. So it should look something like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. And notice you can hear that clicking. That tells me I'm doing good compressions, okay? And notice how I'm taking the pressure off. I'm going to compress but come back up. In fact, I want to show you, this is the wrong way. What's happening is, here's our heart, right? We want to compress but allow that heart to recoil to normal size. If I'm compressing and only allowing the heart to come back to about 2/3 its normal, that's not being effective. I need to compress and take the pressure off, okay? So hopefully that helps you understand the importance of compressing, okay, but taking pressure off, not keeping pressure on the heart. Taking pressure off, not bouncing. We don't want to be bouncing, but moving fast enough where we're doing compressions, 30 of them, at a rate of 120 per minute, then we gotta stop. Yes, we gotta stop and do a head tilt chin lift, which is done like this, okay? In this case, my right hand's gonna be right across the eyes, okay? 2 fingers from my left hand under the bony part of the chin, and I'm gonna open up that airway. Lots of times, the tongue, being the most common airway blocker, is blocking the opening of the trachea. And when I do a head tilt chin lift, sometimes these victims will take a breath. So, to help you understand, a lot of people cup their hand like this to do a head tilt. Open your hand up. My thumb's over here by the left ear, my forefinger's over here by the right ear. Notice my 4 fingers, okay, my forefinger is right across the eyes, just above the nose there. Using the eyebrow ridge as some leverage. And then 2 fingers from my left hand under the bony part of the chin. It's important to do it this way because eventually we gotta pinch the nose. Now this mannequin's head is very stiff. I'm not gonna be able to squeeze the nose, but you have to understand, pinch the nose, cover the mouth, and give 2 slow breaths, okay? Now, there are some other face shields out. Typically in class, I like to use this one. It's disposable. It says this side up. So, I could put it on them like this. I could put it on them like this. Either way, it says this side up. It's gonna be important that you keep this side up. Be methodical. When it's time to give breaths, I can place it on the face, head tilt chin lift, pinch the nose, cover the mouth. 1 slow breath, 2 slow breath, remove the face shield, and resume compressions, okay? How many? 30. We're gonna do 30 compressions, 2 breaths, 5 times. Should be able to get that done in 2 minutes. Now, we're not doing a full CPR class, so I'm just gonna give you a brief demonstration of what it should look like, okay? So again, steps 1, 2, and 3 are complete. The scene is safe. I've checked level of consciousness, determined he's unresponsive and not breathing. I told my partner to call 911 for today's class. We do have somebody with us, and most of the time we do. He's not breathing, unresponsive. He's calling 911. I locate the center of the chest between the nipples, and I initiate cardiopulmonary resuscitation. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I'm gonna keep going on this compressions, right? So I reach 30, 28, 29, 30. Face shield on, head tilt chin lift, pinch the nose. 1 breath, 2 breaths. And I'm gonna do this 5 times. That's right, 30 compressions and 2 breaths 5 times. That's 5 sets. 30 compressions and 2 breaths is 1 set. 28, 29, 30. Head tilt chin lift, pinch the nose. And let's say I'm wrapping up my 5th set. How many compressions do I have to do? That's right, 30. 28, 29, 30. How many breaths? That's correct, 2. Head tilt chin lift, pinch the nose. 1 breath, 2 breaths. I've completed 5 sets of CPR. Now I want to check to see if this has made any difference. And the question I'm asking is, hey, did this 2 minutes of CPR change anything? So I need to do a head tilt chin lift to open the airway. And I'm going to look, listen, and feel for breathing. I'm going to look for chest rise. I'm going to listen with my right ear over the mouth. And I'm going to feel for breathing here on my cheek over the mouth. Well, I don't see any chest rise. I don't feel any breathing, and I don't hear any breathing. Continue CPR. We should do this check for about 5 to 10 seconds. Resume compressions. We always start with compressions and then do breaths. And since I did 2 minutes of CPR and then checked, okay, reassessed, I would do several minutes after that. You don't just do 2 minutes of CPR and then check. It's do a couple minutes of CPR, reassess, and then you can do several minutes. So when do we stop doing CPR? Well, when we get them back, right? That is the goal. Well, let me say, lots of times that doesn't occur, okay? Not just with CPR. The second is the paramedics show up and say, okay, hold on a second, we want to do some assessments ourselves. And the third might be you're exhausted. You know, we're pretty fortunate in this area that we're going to have an ambulance within 4 to 6 minutes. But what if it was 40 to 60 minutes? We're in western Iowa, farmland. We're in northern Minnesota, northern Wisconsin, Michigan, and isolated areas. It could be 40 to 60 minutes. I'm sorry. You're exhausted, and it's just been too long, okay? So that is CPR, cardiopulmonary resuscitation, in a nutshell. We'll take a break.